All right. Good morning.
Morning.
Is it? It's working now?
Not your mic, but the overhead.
Okay. That's weird. Well, it's coming through, but just not coming through the speakers. All right. Is there a volunteer to open this up in prayer this morning? David?
Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank that we can all be here today. Pray for the people that are traveling and for the people that are sick, that they might feel better and be safe. Please be with Aaron as he is traveling. And please guide us in everything that we do, for it might glorify you. In your son's name, amen.
Amen. Is Paula Megumi out this morning, David?
I have no idea.
Okay.
They should be coming, but I don't know. You extended the report there, honestly. No.
All right. Quick. Oh, there's Nikki. Quick recap. What is a caliph? What does caliph mean? Okay, successor. Who was the first caliph?
Abu Bakr.
Abu Bakr. 5 points, 5 points. All right.
The one I remember is the first one.
What did Abu Bakr accomplish? A what? A worm?
No. He was a worm. No. War. Like an elite general of some sort. Or is that somebody else?
Yeah, so he was a captain for Muhammad.
He started consolidating the stories, or writing down the Quran.
Right, so he was a scribe, primary scribe for Muhammad. Okay. He began unifying the tribes and basically established Islam in the peninsula, the Saudi Arabia peninsula. Okay. What tribe was Muhammad from?
All that I can remember is he was from the lesser tribe of is that with a U, I believe?
Well, he wasn't from a lesser tribe. He was from a lesser clan within the tribe. Starts with a Q. Quraysh. Okay. Who was Abu Bakr's successor?
That's 5 pastor points right there. That's old Holly. That's old school, 20 years ago. I'm just going to talk till I get it right. Awesome.
I would always win the
Who was his successor?
The next guy.
Umar.
Yeah.
Umar. What did Umar accomplish?
He continued the work that his predecessors did by keeping the clans in line with trade and taxes and worship.
Okay.
Didn't he expand into Persia?
Yes. So he expanded into Persia and Syria, and also over into Egypt. Okay. So he took over, he expanded Islam into Iraq and most of Iran and all of Syria. So he was able to push back both the Persians and the Byzantine Empire. Okay. Who was his successor? So we got Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman. Uthman is his successor. So what did Uthman accomplish?
He's gonna put it up on the slide here in a minute. Umar bin Pao.
So this is Umar's advancement, pushing Persia to east into Iran.
Not how I envisioned that territory. Like that looks like over here.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
like
that's way
snowy
greener.
mountains and green valleys.
Yeah. So Uthman,
Umar than Uthman, right?
yeah, Umar and then Uthman, they're all elected. Although we'll get into, there was some strife within that election process that I haven't covered yet. So one of his accomplishments was basically canonizing the Quran, if you remember right. So he assigned a team of scribes to put the Quran to text, an official text, and then he spread it out through the mosques, where the mosques were also tasked with copying and distributing the Quran. So Uthman also, if you remember, he started out as a businessman, trader. He spent time in Ethiopia, and then he became corrupt and hired a bunch of his own clans as part of his officials within the government. So they were corrupt, and if you remember, the Muslims in Egypt came over to Medina to, well, they got wind that Uthman was going to overthrow some of the leaders over in Egypt that were Muslim, and so they came to Medina to petition against him, and he promised that he would not do so. And then in their travel back to Egypt, he reached out to his officials out there and told them to slay those people that had come to petition against him. They found out, so they returned to Medina and they assassinated him. But he was able to accomplish quite a bit more than Umar, so he spread his territory further east into Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, and further into Egypt and Libya.
More Byzantine territory too.
Yeah, part of Turkey. And that brings us to his successor. So after he was assassinated, his successor was Ali ibn Abi Talib. So he was of the Banu Hashim clan. And I wanted to read Exodus chapter 4 real quick. So Exodus chapter 4, it says, Moses replied, but I'm certain they won't believe me, and they won't listen to what I say, because they'll say, Adonai did not appear to you. Adonai answered him, what is that in your hand? And he said, a staff. He said, throw it on the ground. And he threw it on the ground. It turned into a snake, and Moses recoiled from it. Then Adonai said to Moses, put your hand out and take it by the tail. He reached out with his hand and took hold of it, and it became a staff in his hand. This is so that they will believe that Adonai, the God of their father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has appeared to you. Furthermore, Adonai said to him, now put your hand inside your coat. He put his hand in his coat, and when he took it out, his hand was leprous, as white as snow. And then God said, now put your hand back in your coat. He put his hand back in his coat, and when he took it out, it was as healthy as the rest of his body. If they won't believe you or heed the evidence of the first sign, they will be convinced by the second. But if they aren't persuaded by even both of those signs, and still won't listen to what you say, then take some water from the river and pour it on the ground. The water you take from the river will turn into blood on the dry land. And Moses said to Adonai, O Adonai, I'm a terrible speaker. I always have been, and I'm no better now. Even after you've spoken to your servant, my words come slowly, my tongue moves slowly. And Adonai answered him, who gives a person a mouth? Who makes a person dumb or deaf, keen-sighted or blind? Isn't it Adonai? Now therefore go, and I will be with you, your mouth, and will teach you what to say. But he replied, please, Lord, send someone else, anyone you want. At this, Adonai's anger blazed up against Moses, and he said, don't you have a brother Aaron, Aaron the Levite? I know that he's a good speaker. In fact, here he is now, coming out to meet you, and he'll be happy to see you. You will speak to him and put the words in his mouth, and I will be with your mouth and his, teaching you both what to do, and thus he will be your spokesman to the people in effect for you. He will be a mouth, and for him you will be like God. Now take the staff in your hand, because you need it to perform your signs. So I bring this up because within the majority of, especially the Shia Muslims, they draw a comparison between Ali and Aaron. So they see him as a deputy or second in command to Muhammad, and basically his spokesman to spread the gospel of the Muslims. And you'll see why they draw the comparison. So Ali's father was of the Banu Hashim clan. So the Quraysh tribe has many or several clans within itself, and up until the establishment of the Caliph, the clans were somewhat insignificant. But as this seat of power is presented within their history, they start assigning a nobility to each of the clans. And so many believe that the Banu Hashim clan was one of the more noble clans within the Quraysh tribe. And that is the clan that Ali comes from. You want to restart the projector?
Is it the projector, or is it what did you figure out about that? Is it the projector?
I think so. So many believe that the Banu Hisham clan is the more noble of the clans, which they were often in conflict with the Umayyad clan. And the Umayyad clan is who Uthman, the previous caliph, came from. He was of the Umayyad clan.
So who decides who's more noble and who isn't?
A lot of it's established by the people, but it really comes down to their relationship with Muhammad. So some believe that the Umayyad clan was had a better relationship, had more importance within Muhammad's movement, where others believe that it was the Banu Hisham clan because they're more directly related to Muhammad, and that comes back to the Shia-Sunni argument, where the Shia believe that the caliph should be established through blood, so it's kind of by royal blood, where the Sunni believe it's by election, so it don't necessarily need to be by blood, it's more of an elected seat. So the Sunni do not put as much importance on Ali, the Caliph Ali. So Ali was the cousin and son-in-law to Muhammad. He was also raised by Muhammad. So again, that close proximity to Muhammad, this is part of the reason why the people, the majority or most of the Muslims, especially the Shia, believe that the Banu Hashim clan is more noble than the Umayyad clan. So he was raised by Muhammad, and he served as his secretary as well as his deputy, which means he was second in command. Just as Aaron was basically Moses' deputy. He was also a flag bearer for Muhammad's army. He was also the first Shia imam. So an imam is basically a scribe who is committed to put the Quran to writing. So now that the Quran was textualized by the time that Ali took office, he was given authority and the role of providing the commentary and guidance on the Quran.
That's not how Imam is used now, right?
No.
Those are more
So now an imam is one that would lead, like, the prayer
like a
at the mosque. Yeah,
or a rabbi,
right.
the religious leader of the mosque.
Ali was highly revered, especially among, like I mentioned, among the Shia. His place is said to be second only to Muhammad. He was revered for his courage, honesty, and devotion to Islam, as he was one of the first to convert to Islam. After Abu Bakr became caliph, which Abu Bakr was also of a different clan, not of the Umayyad or the Banu Hashim. Where did I lost my spot? Yeah, so after Abu Bakr became caliph, Ali was basically pushed to the background. So during Muhammad's time, he was, a main figurehead, and then when Abu Bakr was voted in, they pushed Ali to the background, and Ali refused to follow their practices in politics. So following Uthman's assassination in 656, Ali was elected as caliph in Medina. This election posed little public opposition, as many of the Muslims believed that he should have been Muhammad's successor instead of Abu Bakr. But he did receive opposition from the Umayyad clan, as I had mentioned, which Uthman came from. The Umayyad clan believed that the office of caliph was the right of Uthman, or right after Uthman. So they believed that after Uthman's assassination, someone from the Umayyad clan should have continued office.
So we've had Abu Bakr, then Umar were both Umayyad?
No, Abu Bakr was, he was of the clan Banu Taym, which they were they were one of the wealthier clans within the Quraysh tribe.
Umar was
Umar, I can tell you that real quick. He was from Banu Adi.
What does Banu mean?
I don't know. Let's find out.
So those aren't clans within Umayyad, are they?
No, those are all clans within the Quraysh tribe.
So if they all came from different tribes within the clan, why? Yeah. Okay.
Clan is a subset of a tribe,
Yes.
yes.
So if they're coming from different clans,
Basically different families. A clan was basically a family.
so when the last guy was assassinated, why did they think that they suddenly had the prestige to continue to lineage?
The Umayyad clan?
Yeah.
Well, their relationship with the Banu Adi and the Banu Taym clans were, they had a good working relationship. So they really didn't come to, the Umayyad clan didn't really come to an importance until Uthman took office. So that kind of gave them a complex.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then since, yeah, they raised power, and they're like, oh
Yeah.
we're in the perfect situation to keep everybody together.
Yeah. Which their attitude, the Umayyad clan kind of goes in line with Uthman's, attitude. He became prideful, corrupt. Whereas the previous Umar and Abu Bakr, especially Abu Bakr, he didn't really want the office. He was elected, so he remained a good leader, by Muslim terms. All right, so here you have Ali. He takes over as caliph, and so now he's tasked with undoing all the corruption that Uthman had built up. So he removed all of the officials from within the office, or the office caliph, and he implemented strict justice throughout the territory of Islam. He implemented radical policies in order to restore his idea of the prophetic governance. He also believed that he was essentially like the Pope. So he was, prior to Ali, the caliph shared in the duty of sharing the Quran, leading worship to Allah with some of the other higher officials. When Ali took office, because of his relationship with Muhammad and because of his ideology, he viewed himself as the sole leader to implement the Quran. So he essentially became not only the civil leader, but the religious leader. And that's, so then we have this guy, Muawiyah. So Muawiyah was set up by Uthman as the incumbent governor of Syria. So Muawiyah was also of the Umayyad clan. And so during Uthman's office, he set up Muawiyah as the governor of Syria once they, took over the region of Syria. And so upon taking office, when Ali became caliph, he deemed Muawiyah to be corrupt, like his fellow clansman Uthman. So Ali's mission was to remove Muawiyah from office in Syria. And so learning this plot, Muawiyah ran a propaganda campaign and was the cause of Ali's eventual assassination. He worked with and supported the Umayyads to oppose Ali. So in 657, the armies of Ali, which numbered around 100,000, and the armies of Muawiyah, which numbered 130,000, they camped at Siffin, west of the Euphrates River. And Ali fought when they battled, Ali fought alongside his army while Muawiyah sat back in his pavilion and commanded. The
Modern day example of the same exact thing. Obama and Biden in Ukraine, they put the government in that exact same way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just saying.
So the battle lasted several days until some of the Syrians raised pages of the Quran on their lances and shouted, "Let the book of God be the judgment between us." So initially, Ali saw this as deception, but Ali's men threatened mutiny if Ali didn't push towards an arbitrary agreement with them. So Muawiyah and Ali entered negotiations for peace, and they were able to somewhat establish an arbitrary agreement. And this agreement, by contrast, it weakened Ali's position and it strengthened Muawiyah's position. So it basically set Muawiyah as an equal to Ali, because here you have a low-level governor of a kind of off in the distance land who was able to strike or force the hand of the caliph. So this gained Muawiyah recognition. So it made him an equal contender for the caliphate. And then the Syrian Muslims would go on to pledge Muawiyah as caliph. Muawiyah would then go on to take control of Egypt in 658. So this is still while Ali's caliph. So he took control of Egypt as well as regions along the Euphrates. So in the response to Ali's arbitrary agreement with Muawiyah, a good portion of his men left in protest to this agreement and gathered in the town of Al-Nahrawan, and they basically created their own tribe, and this was known as the Kharijites. So they would go on to execute, the Kharijites would go on to execute civilians, killing thousands, including women, which this was one of the laws that Ali had established during wartime, was that they would not persecute women or children, as only men. In 661, Ali was in the process of mounting an offensive against Muawiyah, when a member of the Kharijites assassinated him during morning prayer in a mosque in Kufa. He was struck over the head with a poisoned sword.
Well, if the blade doesn't kill him, then the poison
Yeah,
from the blade
that was a common practice for their assassination attempts. Fearing that Ali's body might be profaned by the Kharijites or Muawiyah, his burial place was kept a secret and still remains uncertain. Some of the accomplishments that Ali did, he established the treasury funds equally among the Muslims. So he took the storehouse that Uthman had built up, his wealth, and distributed it through the Muslims. And as I mentioned, unlike the other caliphs who shared in responsibility as religious leaders, Ali viewed himself as the executive or exclusive religious authority. And thus he laid claim to the religious authority to interpret the Quran and the Sunnah, which he basically wrote. The Sunnah is the traditions and practices of Muhammad. So if you remember the exercise we went through a couple Wednesday nights ago, you know, the witness or being a first-person witness to Jesus, Ali was, you know, the first-person witness to Muhammad and wrote down all his his traditions, and his practices during worship, and implemented them.
Muslim Talmud.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So that's the Sunnah. All right, 5 minutes. So upon Ali's assassination, also I forgot to mention, a lot of the Muslims believe that Ali was instrumental in Uthman's assassination because they were of opposing clans. He denied it, but that was one of the primary reasons why Muawiyah went up against Ali, because he believed that his clansman was assassinated by the order of Ali. As far as accomplishments in expanding their territory, Ali did not expand territory. So his primary focus was bringing the Muslims back to a governance and religious ideology that was in line with what he thought Muhammad was after. So his focus wasn't on expanding territory. And that brings us to Muawiyah, and this is the first caliph of the Umayyad Caliphate. So we went from the Rashid Caliphate to the Umayyad Caliphate.
It's only 29 years, and two of the four were assassinated.
Yep. So unlike the previous caliphs who were of the Quraysh tribe and related to Muhammad, Muawiyah was from the Umayyad clan, which was one of the prominent tribes that opposed Muhammad and his teachings. Muawiyah himself opposed Muhammad until he captured Mecca. So once Muhammad had captured Mecca, a lot of the Umayyad clan began to follow Muhammad's teaching and converted to Islam. So after his conversion, Muawiyah became one of Muhammad's scribes and was appointed deputy commander in the conquest of Syria. So this is kind of the beginning stages of his advancement towards a governor in Syria. So he advanced up the chain until he became governor, and as I mentioned, he was appointed by Uthman. And I'll stop there since we only have a couple minutes, but there's a pretty big change within Islam with Muawiyah taking office. So they moved the capital from Medina to Damascus. Muawiyah also being from or spending the majority of his time in Syria is more versed in naval affairs. So he, unlike if you remember like Umar and Uthman, they were against doing naval advancements over the Mediterranean because they believe it would stretch them too thin. Muawiyah, one of his primary focuses was advancing over the Mediterranean, and that's where we will look at the expansion of Islam into Europe. Yeah, so I think that's all I'll mention today. Any comments or questions? So we have so the Umayyad Caliphate, there's 2 caliphs, and then we'll have 4 more caliphs after that, which are of the Abbasid Caliphate, and then we'll talk about the implementation of Sharia law, and then we'll get back to where we kind of headed off in this direction.